Tonight on Join News Prime, Council of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools shoots down calls for schools to be closed down as number of cases continue to surge in some schools.
But to stand at the blue and just say all children must be allowed to go home, I don't think that will solve the problem. It may compound it rather.
Meanwhile, there's widespread condemnation of the visit by NPP functionaries to some school registration centers in Kumasi where they interacted with the students. Also in this bulletin, minority in parliament is raising red flags over tax waiver for a company that is importing mass sets at 75 Ghana cedis each.
Mathematical instruments are so basic that I believe that if we were minded to do that, if there was the political will, we could have got a company here in Ghana to manufacture these mathematical instruments instead of importing them.
And the Electoral Commission withdraws the voter ID of NDC parliamentary candidate for Cape Coast North, Kwame Naminta. And in business,
Registered General's Department cautions companies that December 31 deadline for filing annual returns is the final.
Don't take the dispensation to mean you will not file your returns and then you just sit at home and wait till the end of December, then you are rushing here all over again. I will not extend it again.
My name is Aisha Ibrahim. We're live from our studios in Kokomlemle on digital address GA0992539, on DSTV channel 421, on GoTV channel 144, and on your digital terrestrial TV because we're free to run. Many thanks for choosing us. In our very first story, Joy News is learning that more senior high schools in the country are recording new cases of COVID-19 as calls for the schools to be shut down continue. Here's a news desk report on the situation in some schools in Northeast and Oti regions.
Some senior high schools in the country are yet to take delivery of government-sponsored personal protective equipment 3 weeks after reopening despite several assurances. Joy News' checks reveal hundreds of students are in schools without face masks as they risk contracting the virus. At the Sugru Junior High School in Walewale in the Northeast region, a student had covered his face with a black polythene bag because they had not received any face mask from government.
Have not given us nose mask, so I am begging for the president to give us nose mask before we stop using these polythene bags.
After I don't have money to buy one.
So
I'm begging the president to help us to get face masks to provide the spread of COVID-19.
I want to tell the president that we don't have nose masks in our school and want nose masks to wear to prevent the spreading of the virus.
Some schools in the Oti region are also yet to get full complement of the PPE. Students have received at least 2 face masks from government. Speaking to Emefa Pao on the Beyond the Lockdown show on Joy News Sunday evening, the Information Minister Kojo Ponkuma said 3.6 million reusable face masks have been distributed to schools across the country.
We have delivered about 3.6 million pieces of reusable face masks to these persons who are in school. 3.6 million of them. Take hand sanitizers. The units that have been delivered go across about 1.7 million of them. It's taken a number of weeks, an extensive exercise across the country, over 18,000 institutions across the country.
You said you were giving 3 each. Have they received them?
My understanding is that they have. If there are any challenges, we'll be happy to know so that we can deal with them. Take thermometer guns, almost 50,000 of them, so that we can continue with the screening exercise from Buipe through Hamile to Axim and ensure that for every single school, while they have the sanitizers, they have the masks, they have the Veronica buckets, almost 70,000 of those Veronica buckets, almost 130,000 units of liquid soap, another 130,000 units of tissue paper to ensure that hygiene and protection on campuses takes place. Apart from that, and because of the regular screening, they are in a position to determine if there's a suspected case, and have put in place an elaborate process for ensuring that if there's a suspected case, this is how we deal with it. The challenge that has come up is that in some instances, there have been suspected cases or reports of suspected cases or reports of cases that have been communicated in a way to parents and students that has heightened anxiety, when in many of those cases, it turns out to be untrue. And I want to share with you, this is the executive brief I have on the situation in the schools. Recall the president instructed last week that a subcommittee be set up of about 6 persons to engage the specifics. I'll give you, for example, Accra Girls Senior High School. We had a big, scary conversation about Accra Girls Senior High School. The news was broken in such a way that you had parents rush to the gate in a way that some of the parents were even putting themselves at risk. You had students who even didn't know the specific numbers and how it was being contained, who then gathered and were putting themselves at risk. And that's why we say, in all of these things, let's spread calm and not fear. Because when we spread calm and we engage on the issues one by one, we will see the clarity.
In the Volta region, correspondent Fred Kwame Asare reports Mauli, Bishop Herman and 2 other senior high schools in the Volta region have all recorded new cases. Here's a list of schools which have recorded COVID-19 cases so far. And there on your screens, you can see the Archbishop Porter Girls, Ahantaman Girls Senior High School, Adiembra Senior High School, St. John's School, GSTS, 3 suspected cases. We have in CM SHS, Shama SHS. In the Volta region, we have Mauli School, Bishop Herman, and the rest in that region. And in the Western region, of course, in Volta region, Bishop Herman College has also recorded. Maukwe Girls SHS has recorded. In the Greater Accra region, we have Accra Girls and Odogono Senior High School. These are the schools that have recorded COVID-19 cases so far. Some are suspected cases, and we've had confirmed cases from those suspected cases. There are some whose results are yet to come, but there are also suspected cases in those schools. Meanwhile, the Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools say it has no reason to close down schools following calls for final year students who are back in school to be returned home. President of CHAS, Alhaji Yakub Abubakar, tells Joy News, although more schools have recorded cases, authorities can handle the situation. You'll hear from him shortly. But first, the National Council of Parent Teachers Association is calling for closure of the schools immediately. A statement released today by the association says a closure of schools will stop the spread. Here are excerpts of the statement. And it says the National Council of Parent Teachers Association, upon close monitoring of COVID-19 situation in schools since the reopening in June, has observed the following. Not all schools have received the personal protective equipment, PPEs, as promised by government. The schools which have received supplies did not get full supply of the PPE. The COVID-19 safety protocols, especially the social distancing and wearing of nose masks, are not being adhered to by students. Not enough health personnel are either stationed in or attached to many of the schools for routine surveillance due to the pandemic. The statement goes on to say inadequate space in some schools has resulted in overcrowding in dormitories, defeating the purpose of the social distancing protocol. Even though the initial communication to parents from government indicated that day students in boarding schools would be converted to boarders that's allowed to stay in school as boarders to completion of the examination. Unfortunately, because of lack of space in the schools, day students continue to remain home, commuting to and from school, making them more susceptible to getting infected, thereby increasing the probability of infecting others within the school community. More worrying is the fact that despite good counsel and encouragement, most parents insist their children should be brought home. And that's the statement that was released by the Council of Parents. Now, it says, following the above stated concerns and lapses in the implementation of the COVID-19 safety measures, the Council's independent checks have revealed positive cases of COVID-19 infections among our children in the senior high schools, corroborating same as put out in the public domain by the media. Our fear again has to do with the voters' registration exercise in the schools, which has a tendency to compromise the safety of our children because many more people will be allowed entry into the schools. This is rather worrying as parents are barred from seeing their children for the reason of minimizing the spread. And it's signed by Alexander Yaudanso, who is national president of the council. Now, the National Council of PTAs is not the only group calling for the schools to be shut down. Opposition NDC says President Akufo-Addo is prioritizing elections over human lives. They are asking parents to withdraw their children. Kwesi Paka-Wilson with this report.
Astronomically high and ever-increasing positive case counts is putting huge pressure on our already constrained public health system. Indeed, many health facilities across the country, including the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, have been compelled to suspend other critical emergency health services due to the overwhelming cases of coronavirus on their hands. Another fact that lays credence to the assertion that our COVID-19 fight is failing is the long-standing problem of lack of personal protective equipment for our patriotic and hard-working health workers who are sacrificing their lives to keep all of us safe. That problem has not been addressed by President Akufo-Addo and his government, contrary to the countless and persistent assurances we have been given. This, ladies and gentlemen, is sad. Also, ladies and gentlemen, the alarming COVID-19 infections among top MPP and government officials, some of whom have died, doesn't inspire any confidence in the ordinary man on the street that this fight is anywhere near being won.
That's the National Communications Officer for the NDC, Sammy Jemfi, accusing government of paying lip service to the fight against COVID-19. The party also fears the current situation could overwhelm the country's health system, adding government must be held liable for the spike in COVID-19 cases. Sammy Jemfi also impressed upon parents to withdraw the awards from the various schools to avoid contracting the virus, alleging that government is prioritizing elections over the lives of the students.
It is WASI and all that. Ladies and gentlemen, do not be hoodwinked by President Akufo-Addo and the MPP. Do not buy that lie. It is not about WASI. This government doesn't care about WASI. They don't give a hoot about WASI. This intransigence, their belligerence, in keeping SHS students in schools which have recorded positive cases is to make room for those students to be registered as part of the ongoing voter registration exercise and nothing more. That is it. When they are done with the registration, if they don't heed our call today and close the schools, and if parents don't take the destinies, their own destinies and the lives of their children into their own hands and go into those schools and bring out their children to their homes, when they are done with this registration, mark it on the wall, they will close the schools.
But the Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools say keeping the children in school safely is not beyond capacity of school authorities. Alhaji Yakub Abubakar is president of the association. He spoke a while ago on the polls.
I think authorities, and when I say authorities here, I'm referring to GS managers, Ministry of Education, and maybe the government, will study the situation and take the appropriate measures. But looking at the situation as we have it now, we are able to manage the students to the best of our abilities within the environs of our schools. Should parents insist that the children should be sent home now, what states are the children in that they are going home? Are we 100% sure that all of them are COVID-19 free, and for that matter, they are going home?
Is this
or
a matter
some of them
testing?
have the virus and they are going back to their homes to maybe infect others with it.
But that will be a matter of testing, isn't it? Testing and letting them go back should work, wouldn't it work?
So in other words, therefore, before they talk of children going home, they should ensure that testing has taken place on all students in their respective schools. And when we are sure that nobody has anything like that, and the issue of going home is going to be considered, then that is done. But to stand at the blue and just say all children must be allowed to go home, I don't think that will solve the problem. It may compound it rather. From the grounds, we don't see any serious psychological problem with the students such that they cannot continue with their learning. In fact, the children or the students are anxious and they are going about their study, preparing for their examination. And we are sure the children would prefer that as against being asked to go home and the examination postponed or whatever.
Meanwhile, government is maintaining its position that keeping the students in school is a better option. Deputy Education Minister Dr. Osei Duchum has some assurances for parents.
High schools, that's where even registration centers are for a start. And they register people from outside and register students at the same time. I will tell you this, as a consummate educationist, and somebody who believes in the president's vision for education transformation, and the president who, even in COVID situation, did not take the easy way out. The easy way out should have been let the students stay at home so that they will get registered at their polling stations very easily. Government could have made that decision. The issue is very simple. In places where students have turned 18, they have a constitutional right to be registered. And from my checks with Charles, the headmasters, housemasters were always at those venues where they made sure the students were doing social distancing. There's no better place for people to social distance than a school campus where you have a headmaster and senior housemaster and housemaster standing there, and they have chairs where students can sit. We talk about Nanabi. He has issued a statement, and of course, that he did not go there to campaign. He went there to just check to see how the registration was going. These days, we have to be careful with what we see.
And still to come in this bulletin, Parliament is raising a red flag over tax waiver for a company that is importing mat sets at 75 Ghana cedis each.
Mathematical instruments are so basic that I believe that if we were minded to do that, if there was a political will, we could have got a company here in Ghana to manufacture these mathematical instruments instead of importing them.
There is more when we return from this break. And welcome back to Joy News Prime to our other stories. There's widespread condemnation of the visit by some MPP functionaries to some school registration centers in Kumasi where they interacted with students. National Youth Organizer Henry Nana Boache and others are captured in a viral social media video engaging with students of Kumasi Anglican Senior High School. Nana Senso Mensa has the rest of the story.
There are questions about the motive for the visit when parents are barred from seeing their children in schools due to fears about spread of COVID-19. Ashanti Regional MPP Youth Organizer Dennis Kwakwa has been justifying the action with similar visits by the NDC with Electoral Commission's accreditation to monitor registration. Listen to him in a conversation with Love FM's David Akwete.
If you talk of school visitation, if you go to the school, you ask for the housemaster or whoever.
Bottom line, you had an engagement with students.
No, we didn't.
Interaction with students.
No, you cannot tell me. You cannot tell me there was no. No, take your time. Take your time.
I am taking my time. I just want to ask a question.
David,
you said that you asked them how.
I don't want us to banter over this. We did not visit. It's the same as every registration center that we visit. In fact, if you go to Kumasi Anglican, the prospective registrants over there were about 1,004 or so. You think as a political party we wouldn't be interested in that, and we will be interested in the community that has only 200 prospective registrants. Please, Nana Kwesi, Onasi yesterday were in Konongo Dumasi. Kwamizu and others were in Islamic secondary.
So now you are justifying.
No, please.
Thank you.
I said earlier that they had done the right thing by going to monitor. So do we. If anybody feels that we can accept their thinking, but we are not wrong in going there for monitoring.
Meanwhile, it appears to be unanimity in public's disapproval of the action.
I don't believe we should allow the politicians to go to the schools, because if the parents who have control over their children are not allowed to go there, then we shouldn't also allow the politicians. I believe they have polling agents at the secondary schools, at the centers there. So they should trust their polling agents that they are going to do the work that they need them to do for them. So in my opinion, we shouldn't allow politicians to go to the schools. The law must apply to all. No parents, no politicians.
I think our leaders are not being fair to us, we parents. They said we shouldn't go and visit our children in schools. And at the same time, we people are going to do the registration in schools. Why? The sickness is dangerous. So I think that what the leaders are doing is not good and it's not fair. If that be in case they are going to do the registration in our schools, we should allow our parents to go and visit our daughters and sons in the school. So this is my mind.
Mama egu school mu amusi ma wo fo nkwohwe omo no ehu nya so omo ye registration fi say ya ye wo nkwala na ehu nya musi ma ye nkwoho na ye
She says even we the parents are not allowed to see our wards. So why are the politicians allowed to campaign on our campuses?
Na ye den no omo do mutimi kwoho kwohwe nkwala so omo so do yale ani bi e kwoma nkwala no ntimi de ka me aba ni mfa ne nanti fom
ya chire madwene ne se yade wo yaba ama yese nyina ye boase benya no aduru na yade ye tu afiri o mem ne yade ye ho ne ye.
In the midst of this pandemic, why are we allowing strangers into our campuses to engage our children?
And say crackers yare we say si wo manfo ko no amoa.
Even parents of the Accra Girls SHS were denied access to see their wards. Nana Asensumensa reporting.
And still to come in business, Registrar General's Department cautions companies that December 31 deadline for filing of annual returns is the final.
Don't take the dispensation to mean you will not file your returns and then you just sit at home and wait till the end of December, then you are rushing here all over again. I will not extend it again.
Sandra Peno will come your way shortly with business.
It's a beautiful Monday. I am Sandra Esinamapeno. As always, I'm here for business. In our first story tonight, the Registrar General's Department has extended the deadline for all categories of companies to file annual returns by an additional 6 months. The extension will end on December 31. The Registrar General, Jemima Owari, who spoke earlier on Business Live, told our Kwao the new date is the final.
Initially, we were supposed to have been filing annual returns by the end of June 30th. Then due to the pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, we were just realizing how it was almost impossible for our businesses to hold their annual general meetings. So we came out with a communique, our first directive, that under the New Companies Act, businesses could hold virtual annual general meetings because it was just almost impossible for them to meet because of the social distancing, problem that had come up. So we extended it to July 30th, only to realize that it's still spreading, the pandemic is still spreading, and we realized that most workplaces have their staff contracting the virus. And so it's becoming more dangerous for us to operate at the same steam that we were operating before. Now, because we gave a deadline of 31st of July, as well as a penalty being increased in August, clearly our offices were flooded with people trying to beat the deadline. As you know, most Ghanaians always wait till last minute. And looking at the danger of getting our staff either contracting the disease or even our own clients also contracting the disease, I thought it was prudent for me, first of all, to do away with the penalty. Okay. And then the penalty of 400 is still there. But that increase of just 50 Ghana cedis to 400, that's already there. It's not worth it of getting people contracting a disease because of 50 Ghana cedis increase. So I took that one away. And then I also extended it further to December 31st to enable all businesses that were not for any reason able to hold their AGMs virtually, hold it within whatever period they can between now and December, and then try and file their annual returns by then. What it means then is that businesses or companies can now file their 2019 returns for 2020 in December, as well as those who have already got financial statements ready to be able to file 2020 for 2021, can also file it in December of 2020. I mean, I've given them that laxity. So I will just give you an opportunity. Don't take the dispensation to mean you will not file your returns and then you just sit at home and wait till the end of December, then you are rushing here all over again. I will not extend it again.
Away from that, the Public Services Workers Union of the TUC is kicking against a proposed strategic partnership between the Ghana Airport Company Limited and a Turkish investor. The workers have alleged the new investor's stake will exceed 66%. Last week, staff of the Ghana's airport demonstrated against the alleged sale, a claim the Ministry of Aviation has denied. But Deputy General Secretary of the Public Services Workers Union, John Stamper, insists the proposal points to privatization.
The proposal, as we are talking about, which the media you've cited, we have also cited the same proposals. These proposals is from a consortium, TAV and SUMA, all Turkish companies coming together, forming that consortium. And that proposal is actually inviting Ghana Airport Company into a PPP arrangement. In that proposal, they are proposing, among other things, change of name of the company and also the percentage in the shareholding. And that they are proposing that the two companies from Turkey should hold 66%, 33 each. And that Ghana Airport Company, which is Ghana government, should owe 34% of it. This is something which we have received, which you have also seen in the media, which the workers are not too happy about. The point is that why the ministry says that there is no plan for the sale of Ghana Airport. For workers, when we hear privatization, when we hear strategic partnership, when we hear PPP, are all various shapes of privatization. Now, if you have entered into PPP and 66% is gone to the other partner and you have 34%, what it means is that your say in the company is limited, it's quite small, and you cannot really control the company the way it is today. So that is why some people are saying that the Ghana Airport Company, there are plans to sell it, or there is a plan to actually give it out. It is all because if you look at the percentage or the shares structure, then of course the company as it is today will be completely altered, and you can't claim that the Ghana Airport Company exists. How can the arrangement be in the interest of the public when 66% shares is going to a foreign company? Are we not all happy, or would we not be happy if we heard that Ghana government has found other means to actually revamp the operation? And in fact, the company is not broke as it's being described by certain cortices. It's not broke. Of course, every company may have challenges, and so do Ghana Airport Company. This is a company that, although it took a loan, not only for the Terminal 3, but also for refurbishment of the whole airport, for the Kumasi Airport, and also for the Wa Airport, and also for refurbishment of Terminal 2. This company has an arrangement, and it has not defaulted in the payment of its loans. So when you owe, it doesn't mean that you are broke. Even America, they owe, but they pay. So I don't know any serious company that you say that it doesn't owe. We use loans to do investment, and when we get the money, we pay back. So Ghana Airport Company took loan. This loan it took, it has actually expanded the Ghana Airport, and it's one of the best on the sub-region. So we believe that if there are little challenges, we should actually look at whether there are leakages somewhere, outsourcing and other things and contracts in the company, that if we really want to, and I mean government also should stop interference in the recruitment and imposing people on the company. When we do all these things and we are managing the company well, We think that Ghana Airport Company is not broke, as being reported. It's not broke. And if it have currently, it has temporary financial challenges, those challenges will be overcome. And the Ghana Airport Company will move forward.
And on that note, we end the first part of business. I'm settling back after 8 p.m. with more business news updates. But guess who is back with the sports news? Wait for him after the break.
Welcome back to Joy News Prime. To the rest of our stories, and the voter ID card of the NDC parliamentary candidate for Cape Coast North has been withdrawn by the Electoral Commission. He's alleged to have provided false information when he applied for his card. Kwame Mintah will thus not have a valid voter's card when the EC opens nomination. By our electoral laws, he cannot contest this year's elections because he will not be a registered voter. So what informed the decision? Regional correspondent Richard Kwejo has been following the issue. He joins me via Zoom. Richard, how did the Electoral Commission arrive at this decision?
So, Kwame Mintah walked to Nkamfua, an electoral area within the Cape Coast North constituency where he is a resident of. I mean, he's a lecturer at the University of Cape Coast, and then he also has a facility at Ghana, very close to Ghana National College, which is in the Cape Coast South constituency. So he walked to Nkamfua to get registered. We are told that after the registration, he was challenged by a resident of Nkamfua that what he provided on the form was erroneous and misleading, and he does not really stay there. And so the committee decided to invite Mr. Mintah, and he came with a lawyer. He appeared before the committee. At a point, the committee had to go to the location where the infraction is alleged to have occurred. And then after that, they were satisfied that indeed Mr. Mintah had not stayed at that particular facility for up to like 3 months. And he's by law, he's even if he's an ordinary resident in that particular area, it should be 12 months, and a permanent resident should be about 4 years. But he has not stayed in that particular facility before. His caretaker was also invited. He witnessed and said before the committee that the man has indeed not stayed at the facility more than 3 months. And so based on that, they decided that what he provided on the form was falsehood, was wrong, and he shouldn't have done that. And it is contrary to the CI 126 that is guiding the registration that is currently ongoing. And so information was sent to the Electoral Commission. Based on that, the Electoral Commission decided to withdraw his card. And so by the withdrawal of the card, according to the Electoral Commission, then he cannot register. And then that one cannot be done within a period of 5 years. It means that the 2020 election that we are currently in December, he might not be eligible to contest in that election. It means that if there is no appeal and the situation stands, then it means that the NDC in the Cape Coast North would have to field a candidate. Remember that Kwame Mintah went unopposed. No one contested him when doing their primaries last year. And so that is what it is. But we are also told that there are also sanctions tied to this. He's also liable to 500 penalty, to pay 500 penalty units, and a penalty unit is 12 cedis. So 12 times 500 would be equal to 6,000 Ghana cedis. So in defaultment, he goes to jail for 2 years. And so that is what is happening here. We have been interacting with a section of the NDC here who say that it's a hefty blow that has been dealt them, but they are looking at what the parliamentary candidate would do in the situation such as this.
But
the parliamentary candidate has been appealing.
Yes. What has Kwame Mintah been saying after his voter's ID was withdrawn?
Exactly. So in a WhatsApp message to some of his supporters in some of their groups, he said that the supporters should not panic because he's got the situation under control. He's going to appeal. And after the appeal, he believes that his card would be given to him. And so, but a lot of the supporters, if you speak with, are apprehensive because they feel that after his invitation before the committee, he went to the lawyer and everything was done. They do not feel that there is a chance for him to come back again, but he is inspiring confidence in them that, well, he's got another opportunity, and so he could appeal.
Richard Kwejonyako is our correspondent in the Central Region. He's been updating us on a candidate whose ID has been withdrawn by the Electoral Commission. We're still live on Joy News Prime. Now to the rest of our stories. And the minority in Parliament has questioned the cost of scientific mathematical instruments meant to eliminate examination malpractices in the country. According to the NDC MPs, the unit cost of 75 Ghana cedis per a math set is too expensive as compared to other math sets on the market. The SMI is to be procured and supplied by Messrs. Bluegrass Group Limited for use in West Africa Examination Council examination in Ghana. Presenting the Finance Committee report for approval of $3.2 million tax waiver on the importation of the math sets, Chairman of the committee, Dr. Mark Asibeyeboa, said the procurement of the CAPEC-branded scientific mathematical instruments will combat examination malpractices.
The request for the waiver of duties and taxes amounting to the Ghana cedi equivalent of $3,214,538 United States dollars on CAPEC scientific mathematical instruments to be procured and supplied by MS Bluegrass Group Limited for use in West African Examinations Council WAEC exams in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, in recent times, stakeholders in education in the West African Examination Council member countries, including Ghana, are deeply concerned about the rising wave of malpractices in public examinations and have constantly called on educational institutions and examining bodies to find solutions to the malice.
But contributing to the debate on the floor, a former Deputy Minister of Education, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, demanded value for money report on the yet-to-be-procured equipment. The Notong MP also expressed his disappointment over the sole-sourced contract to MS Bluegrass Group Limited without the participation of other local companies.
Wondering if the Finance Committee demanded of the Education Ministry if they considered local options. We should, through some of these interventions, be seeking to build local capacity. The penchant to import always does not really help grow our economy, especially as we are talking about the vision Ghana Beyond Aid and how we can support local industry. Mathematical instruments are so basic that I believe that if we were minded to do that, if there was the political will, we could have got a company here in Ghana to manufacture these mathematical instruments instead of importing them. The second issue, Mr. Speaker, is with sole sourcing. Is the Finance Committee really convinced that we needed to use sole sourcing and identify only one company to import all of this? Did we get value for money for that arrangement? What is so special about the MS Bluegrass Group that the Ministry of Education applied to the PPA to use sole source for?
Also live on Joy News Prime. Remember, we are free to air because we are on your digital terrestrial TV and still on more stories. Majority Leader Osei Chairman Sabunso on his part said concern raised by the minority MPs relating to the unit cost per math set is in order, adding that the cost of the set should concern members of Parliament. He charged the Education Committee of Parliament to supply the House with details of cost of the math set.
The issue that we raised by some colleagues about the unit cost needs to concern us because, Mr. Speaker, what is stated here on page 2, the last but one paragraph, they are indicating to us that they are procuring customized West Africa Examination Council mathematical sets, which comes with the scientific calculator. So, Mr. Speaker, if members are calling for us to maybe interrogate the cost per unit, to me, is in order. But it should not also be conjectured that it is a simple mathematical set, the cost of which is 75 Ghana cedis. I agree, however, that as a house, by way of performing our oversight responsibilities, we need to know the unit cost of one. And if the scientific calculator, which is the addition, justifies the cost of 75 Ghana cedis, it should be known to all of us. But, the Speaker, it is the Education Committee, that should be supplying us with this information so that we know what the cost is and what went into the calculation of the cost per unit. The Speaker, the Honorable Okujeto is asking about why the sole sourcing. I think that is also a legitimate question. But I understand that given the time constraints, the ministry was compelled to use a single source for the procurement. The Speaker, the other matter that again he related to whether or not as a country we cannot, he used the term manufacture.
Director General of State Interest and Governance Authorities jumping to the defense of the Deputy MASLOC CEO found to have allegedly abused MASLOC funds in a bid to entice delegates in recent NPP primaries. Abibata Zakaria had admitted to Corruption Watch, an initiative by the Center for Democratic Development, that she used her office to facilitate the award of loans to NPP delegates in her constituency, where she contested and lost in the primaries. Well, in a yet-to-be-aired interview at 9 p.m. on PM Express, Director General of State Interest and Governance Authority, Stephen Asamoah Boateng, who supervises the work of MASLOC and other state enterprises, says the Deputy MASLOC CEO did no wrong. Listen.
Why are you not bringing that in?
No, but did the Fantiman, first of all, we're talking about the deputy CEO of MASLOC, who is contesting in Yendi, who then approves the loans to the delegates.
She doesn't.
Well, she herself did the speech in which she says she gave delegates and uses it as a campaign message. Well, that clearly must be something wrong there. Must be at least an abuse of office.
No, it's not. Listen to me. I would not go down that line because, first of all, there's no evidence that she gave it to NPP delegates not to pay back, and that those people who got are not Ghanaians. That's the first point. There are Ghanaians like the people in my constituency who are Ghanaians, or in my father's constituency or area in Konongo, as I'm who are Ghanaians. And I have evidence that a lot of people got the money. How those in Yendi got it, and as I said, she hasn't got the approval to do. There's a boss, there's a CEO there. And it wouldn't have gone past without the CEO involved, and there would be a process. There's a board chairman. And so when the CDD jumps into conclusion and doesn't give me evidence for me to tackle it, if you have evidence, show it to me.
The evidence is she herself, admitting that yes,
that they are not Ghanaians, and she gave money to them.
That she gave the money, and that in one of the speeches she said she was campaigning with that as a trump card, as a deputy who gives loans to delegates ahead of a primary. That is abuse of office.
But maybe she was not probably aware that as she gave names of her delegates, because everybody would try and protect their little or their empire or circle. But the process goes to the top, to management, to board. Part of those who also benefited are not in her constituency. So if she said my delegate, she would have used it for her own primaries, if that's what she said.
Yeah, which is what she said.
But the people in my constituency also got around the same time. Yeah, but she didn't come across with that. So maybe it's a communication something. But let me say that it is not just restricted to Yendi. Employment.
CDD says they're going to apply to SHRA to investigate. They believe that is an abuse.
Well, let them do it, and I would also investigate. But let me tell you that from what I've seen and heard.
But you've already taken a position. Why would you investigate then? You believe she didn't do anything wrong. Why would you want to investigate?
But I haven't got a proof. You are telling me today. I've read it on social media. I haven't heard her speak.
The full interview airs at 9 p.m. on the Joy News channel. Please make a date. But meanwhile, Executive Director of GII, Linda Oforekwafo, has described as worrying explanation by the woman at the center of the controversy and expressed disappointment at what appears to be a defense by the Director General of the State Interest and Governance Authority, Stephen Asamoah Boateng, insisting they will follow the case all the way to trial.
I must say I'm a bit disappointed in the angle the head of figure has taken this matter. Clearly, this is an issue of conflict of interest, abuse of office, and there is a need for...
And now to our hotline documentary coming up at 8:30. Ghana is saddled with a lot of diseases, but it appears whilst a lot of these diseases are getting the needed attention, some like leprosy have been relegated to the background. No wonder leprosy is considered a neglected tropical disease. Shockingly, Ghana is recording leprosy cases in every part of the country. The disease is wreaking havoc and rendering a lot of Ghanaians permanently disabled, said Kwame Boateng in his latest hotline documentary titled Withered Skins. Tells the shocking stories of people who have had not only their fingers and toes torn off, but others too who have been amputated from leprosy-related complications. Here are snippets of that documentary.
Ma'am, now I want to say, she is called Abena Donko and she is 77 years. Neither Abena nor her husband battled leprosy. Rather, 3 of her children, Doris Ishan, Frank Ishan, and Rollins Ishan.
Now, actually, on coffee, I can't frank so. You see, none for patas, so I no fear, under or travel or talk. Now, I can't warn so. The warrants, the apple, why I could keep Uncle for moon, I Uncle Ponad, Madame Jam, Mammy, assure ye. Jimmy Jam, Mutsen, Mutte, do my home, Mutte, do my home. I won't papa, none of all patassi. I won't capa. In general, person with the Fimia, there's a mere in the
Tears well up in the eyes of the 77-year-old woman anytime she sees them.
Yeah, in fact, Bassa, we know why I begin. Uncle Baby, man, a Muslim. Is all when you feel our lunch. So I blab a year, and you won't put away a baby, no woman be mammy. Now, I bend up. The moon, what you
Please make a date at 8:30 p.m. for this documentary. But coming up in business, Industrial and Commercial Workers Union are asking government to pay ex-workers of collapsed microfinance institutions. Stay tuned for more.
Welcome back to business. The Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, wants the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, to expand the tax net to include e-commerce businesses. The GRA is reviewing downward revenue target for 2020 amid the coronavirus pandemic. President of GUTA believes more revenue can be derived from businesses in e-commerce. There's more in this report.
Businesses are turning to online platforms for various transactions. The coronavirus pandemic, though disrupting business activity, has created a huge demand for e-commerce, which today accounts for only 80% of business activity in the SME sector. Unfortunately, there is no data tracking system by the GRA to tax business activities online. President of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, Dr. Joseph Obin, sees this avenue as a smart way by many to dodge tax payment.
E-commerce is coming strongly to overtake most of the physical trading that we do. And government having looked at that side, especially in the wake of the COVID, where physical movement of people, the people are transacting through the internet and all that, and a huge volume of goods are being sold there. Government should quickly go there. A whole lot of people are dodging the tax payment through this system, and it's developing very fast and is developing very huge.
The GRA has been engaging Ministry of Finance to set a new lower revenue target for the year 2020 as COVID-19 disrupts the economy. As the internet becomes a hub for brisk online business, the GRA is pressed with the challenge of tracking down these business activity to ensure that all forms of e-commerce are duly taxed.
In other news tonight, the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union is impressing on government to expedite payment plans for ex-staff of collapsed microfinance and savings and loans companies. The receiver has announced the payment process will begin this week, but union says no work has been done. Secretary General of the IC, Solomon Kota, at a press conference called on the Bank of Ghana to release funds to pre-finance their payments.
According to the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union, the receiver for the microfinance as well as savings and loans companies had signed an agreement with the union on behalf of the former staff of the various institutions but failed to follow the terms of the agreement. Some of the former workers are yet to receive their provident fund and welfare contributions, which are part of the exit package agreed with the receiver. General Secretary of the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union, Solomon Kota, described the inability of the receiver to make the payments as disappointing.
We signed this memorandum of agreement in December last year. Okay, how many months now? 7 months now. Wherever they had gone to borrow to make sure that they survive, they have said, oh, in the next few weeks, because that is the message we are having. So we said that the excuses to the unending payment schedule is our problem. A particular one that even hurt us the more was that payment will be arranged in the coming weeks. That makes it open.
Chairman of the Coalition for Collapsed Savings and Loans and Microfinance Staff, Solomon Donko, told Joy Business that the effects of the coronavirus is adding more burden to the plight.
As we are all seeing the COVID-19, additional expenses that you have to incur because of this disease. In some instances, both husband and wife have been affected. So the hardship is just too much for us.
The union is calling on government to fast-track the payment process for the former employees, or they will take appropriate steps in the coming days.
The alleged privatization of the Kotoka International Airport is still in the news, and that is our Joy Business Quick Take tonight.
It's a company in which Ghana Airport Company has got shares. The passenger clearance company. Strategic partner, in a way. Swissport is a strategic partner. But the airport company has given them the land, and they've got shares in there. Nobody has talked about that, has taken over Ghana Airport Company. Or what we can improve upon. What was done with Aviance, with Swissport, is experience for us now to improve on what we need to do with a new partner.
That'll be all for business tonight. Log on to myjoyonline.com/business for more business news updates. Thanks so much for watching.
And that's how we wrap up our Joy News Prime tonight. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Many thanks for watching. On behalf of the rest of the production team, have a great one and enjoy the rest of our programs.